A demon on four wheels. 580 horsepower, 0 to 100 in 4.6 seconds, up to 280 kilometers top speed. The RS6 Avant is the strongest series-produced car which has ever left the Audi factory. Something that sounds like an estate car with rabies is, at the first glance, a normal Audi A6 Avant with our Patrick behind the wheel. His relation to this car is quite sober, not particularly friendly. This massive suitcase on wheels has a 5-litre 10-cylinder engine under the bonnet. Takes 1,660 litres and is loaded to the rafters with performance. If you hear the figure 580 horsepower, you do not think about an estate. You think of a Lamborghini Murcielago, a super sports car, but you do not think by any means of a Pampers bomber. Pampers bomber or not, this is the strongest Audi of all times, and that's it. But is it the sportiest one? That Audi can build for the road is undisputed, but the deciding factor is, what does the RS6 promise on the racetrack? All features, switch paddles, lap time that we can record, the boost display in form of a bar chart, super fantastic, but it has to prove all that on the racetrack. Paul Ricard test track in Le Castellet, France. Exactly the right playground to find this out. If you wonder why our car is bright blue, quite simple. Only the best is good enough on the racetrack. That's why it has to be the ceramic brakes with a diameter of over 420 millimeters, and those are installed here. Cost 10,200 euros, including the 20-inch aluminium rims. Apart from the exhaust system, the diffuser and the squarely designed wheelbases, the look is rather shy. In the interior, you find a few RS6 logos, a bit of carbon look, and a flat steering wheel. The rest reminds you strongly of the series-produced A6. The bucket seats cost you 2,800 euros. Under the bonnet, there is a 5-litre TFSI V10 acting like an aggressive bull. Average consumption, 14 litres. Let's take the bull by the horns. Oh wow, this thing wants to move. Oh man, it's fantastic. A little bit of acceleration and 230 on the speedometer. It's racing off. And the brakes, ceramics, 420 millimeter. You put both feet on them and this box stops dead. Brief comment about the driving performance. The engine gives you 650 Newton meters, 4.6 seconds to the 100, almost 15 seconds to 200. Well, boys, you Porsche 911 drivers, get yourselves into gear. You can see the 4 rings in your rearview mirror. LED daylight headlights and then indicator right, because this is an RS6 Avant. The V10 underneath the bonnet is a hit, vehement, but at the same time, the bi-turbo pushes you into the horizon. The ceramic brakes grip it like a vice. But does the rest of the Avant cope with the power under the bonnet? The car is designed to fly low along the motorway. You can drive it on the racetrack, but you need to start slowly. If you take it on, it's a little bit difficult because the weight just doesn't help. And then the quattro is a bit of a problem. A lot of it is distributed onto the front axle, which causes understeering relatively quickly. The four-wheel drive is distributed between rear and front axle at a ratio of 60:40. If the rear axle slips, up to 65% of the power lands on the front axle. Result, understeer. As soon as you put your foot down, all the power goes to the front axle. We want it in the back. We need it in the back, so that I can really say that I can push it to the limit on the racetrack. A force on the straight, a weakling in the bends, or what? Engine, steering and brakes are one thing, 2.2 tons of weight and power distribution the other. What is the RS6? A racing car or a sports estate? The car is good to go to the DIY shop on a Saturday morning. Driving to the racetrack, that's wonderful as well. But when on the racetrack, it does hit its limit at some point. Driving gear, traction. It is really strong, but if it is about braking this lump to slow down 2 tons, despite large brake discs and Grand Prix track, like the Hockenheim Ring, really it is not suitable. There are too many braking phases in too short a time. The car cannot cope with it. And it shouldn't have to. The RS6 is above all one thing, the strongest and most expensive series-produced estate of all times. Its playground? The Autobahn, of course.